Through this video, I wanted to give you a brief, analysis of the chapter of Indigo. Mohandas Karamchand Uttamchand Gandhi, or rather Mahatma Gandhi, came back to India from South Africa in the year 1915. And on the advice of his political guru Gopal Krishna Gokhale, he was traveling all around India. And then he attended the December 1916 annual convention of the Indian National Congress Party in Lucknow. Over there, a farmer from Champaran named Rajkumar Shukla, who was not technically a leader but was more than a leader because a leader leads by example. So this fellow had attended that conference, and he came to complain about the injustice on the sharecroppers in Champaran. Somebody told him to meet Gandhi, and he met Gandhi, and he was a simple fellow from the village, and he told Gandhi that I am Rajkumar Shukla, I am from Champaran, and I want you to visit this place. Gandhi said that I have some work in different parts of India, and so Shukla followed him everywhere. He had work in Kanpur and some other parts of India. And from there, they went to Sabarmati Ashram in Ahmedabad, and Shukla stayed with Gandhi for weeks. He did not leave Gandhi's side. Gandhi was impressed and fixed a date to meet in Calcutta. That was, after months. And Shukla was waiting at the exact place at the exact time. So this was the resoluteness of Rajkumar Shukla. From there, they went to Patna, to the house of Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Dr. Prasad was out of town, but the servants knew Shukla. They knew that Shukla constantly pestered, or rather, requested the owner of the house to fight their cases, and that is why they were allowed to stay in the lawns of the house. But Shukla and Gandhi was not allowed to draw water from the well. Rather, Gandhi was not allowed to draw water from the well because they thought that Gandhi was an untouchable, and if some drops of water fell into the well, the whole source will be polluted. From there, they went to Muzaffarpur, where Gandhi had to meet J.B. Kripalni. He had met Kripalni during one of his visits to Tagore Shantiniketan school, the famous historian J.B. Kripalni. So when the train reached the station, Gandhi and Shukla were on the train, and a large body of students were there to welcome them. Gandhi put up at the house of Dr. Malkani, who was Professor Malkani rather, who was a government servant. So in those days, it was very difficult for Malkani to give shelter to Gandhi, because Malkani, as I said, was a government servant and Gandhi was against the government. From there, they moved to Champaran. Now, before getting into Gandhi's activities in Champaran, let us understand the problem of Champaran. The agricultural land of Champaran was divided into large estates, and these estates were owned by Britishers, and the Indians were sharecroppers. Through an ancient arrangement, this was done. The Britishers forced India to plant indigo in 3/20th of their lands. That means that is roughly around 15%, exactly around 15% of the land to plant indigo. And this whole indigo was to be given to them, the Britishers, as rent. Please understand, the Indians were not happy with the arrangement of planting indigo because, number one, it was not in any way beneficial to them, and number two, indigo destroyed the quality of the crop, of the soil. It damaged the quality of the soil. I should not say destroy. But after some time, the Britishers came to know that Germany had developed synthetic indigo, and they decided to stop the cultivation of indigo. Now, why? There are two reasons. Number one, it's easier to transport indigo from Germany to Manchester, and secondly, synthetic indigo was manufactured in the factories, so you can manufacture any amount. But the indigo that was grown on the soil, that had a limitation. So they told the Indians that we are releasing you from the sharecropping arrangement, but you have to pay a compensation. So they were such cruel people. Some of the Indians, farmers, gave the compensation because it was a problem for them, and some hired lawyers, and the Britishers hired thugs, musclemen. After some time, the Indians, in those days were very enlightened. Newspapers were read at the center of the village, and everybody knew what was happening all around the world. They were not, stupid people. They were very enlightened Indians in those days. Maybe many of them did not know how to read and write, but they were enlightened, truly knowledgeable. So the Indians came to know about the plan of the Britishers. They knew that Germany had developed synthetic indigo, and that is why they were being released from the sharecropping arrangement, and they wanted their money back. At this point, Gandhi arrived in Champaran. Now, when he arrived in Champaran, he understood that Shukla was unable to give him the whole information. So he met two people, the British official commissioner of Tirhut division and the secretary of the British Landlord Association, to understand both the sides of the story. This was the greatness of this man. He needed to understand both the sides of the story before coming to a conclusion. The commissioner threatened Gandhi and asked him to leave Champaran, and the secretary told him that he would not give any information to an outsider. Gandhi told him that he was not an outsider. Then we find that Gandhi continued to stay in Tirhut. He rented a room and he continued to get evidence from the farmers. Hundreds of them came in carts, walking down, and through different modes of conveyance. They did not know about Gandhi's history in South Africa. They only know there's a Mahatma who came to help us, and we need to, kind of confide in him, tell him our stories. One day there was an information that a farmer was beaten up in a village nearby, and Gandhi started off on the back of an elephant. On the way, the police superintendent's car stopped him and asked him to return to his quarters. Over there, Gandhi was given an official notice to leave Champaran. Gandhi took the notice and wrote that he was not going to leave Champaran. As a result of that, he was asked to appear in the court scene. In the court, rather. Gandhi telegrammed important lawyers in different parts of Bihar, and that is why, he met Gandhi, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Kripalani and all these people. This was the wonderful mind of this man. He wanted to inform everybody that he was going to Champaran, so that everybody was in the know-how. And if need arises, then everybody could jump into the fray. Gandhi also understood that it was important to inform the lawyers. So the next day was the court scene. Hundreds and thousands of lawyers all around the court. And they were, for the first time in the history of British India, they were coming out of the fear of the Britishers. The court decided that, it's very difficult to control them. So Gandhi helped them and controlled the crowd. He was telling them that he was the boss over here. He was telling them that in India he was in control. But when the court reconvened, Gandhi told the court that, I did not want to break the law, but I had to choose between two things, the law of the land and the law of conscience, and I took the law of conscience. They told Gandhi to furnish a bail for 2 hours because they wanted to possibly talk to their superiors. Gandhi was not ready to give the bail amount, and he was released. Next, when the court reconvened, Gandhi was allowed to go free because they could not risk it. In the meantime, at that time, the lawyers were discussing amongst themselves, and they told Gandhi that now that you're going to jail, it's useless for us to stay over here because we came to advise you, and if you go to jail, whom shall we advise? Gandhi asked them what will happen to the sharecroppers, and the lawyers said that they need to discuss. And they discussed and thought that if this fellow who was from outside was ready to go to jail for the sharecroppers, why can't we? And they told Gandhi that we are ready to go to jail for you. Gandhi said that the Battle of Champaran is won, a very significant stage of the struggle. Gandhi also advised when the lawyers complained to Gandhi about the size of their fees, they said that the sharecroppers don't give us any fees. Gandhi said, why do you take fees from them? They're so poor. Don't take it. And don't take them to the courts where they're butchered. They're terrorized over there. Anyways, Gandhi continued his evidence collecting after he was released from the court. And after and the Britishers also started to protest. They were continuing their protests. Truckloads of evidence was collected. After a few days, the lieutenant governor of that particular region summoned Gandhi. And Gandhi thought that maybe I might be, there's a possibility that I might be arrested. And so he created a chain of leadership in the case that he was arrested, in case he was arrested. There were 4 meetings with the Lieutenant Governor, and the Britishers, in fact, were not with much evidence. Gandhi had truckloads of evidence, and the Britishers agreed to return the compensation amount. Gandhi demanded 50%. He could have demanded 100%. The Britishers tried 25% and Gandhi agreed. Why? Because at the time, money was not important. What was important was that for the first time in British India, the Britishers were surrendering their prestige. And that is what is important over here. The Britishers were surrendering their prestige. The sharecropping arrangement, the indigo plantation, everything stopped as Gandhi had predicted, because Germany was already developing synthetic indigo. This was a success, but Gandhi was not happy with great political solutions. His idea was to change the whole face of that particular place. And he started to change the socio-cultural economic condition of Champaran. Socio-cultural mainly. He asked for volunteers, many people like Narhari Parikh, who was going to be the secretary of Gandhi later on, Pyarelal, Mahadev Desai was going to work for Gandhi for all his life. They came. Kasturba came, Gandhi's youngest son Devadas, he also came. Schools were opened in 6 villages. Gandhi brought in a doctor. In those days, there were only medicines like castor oil and quinine that were available. So a proper dispensary was opened. Gandhi told Kasturba to talk to the women about the filthy, dirty nature of their clothes. The women told her that they had only one dress. So in this way, the whole thing was going on. Gandhi had regular connections with his ashram. He told them how to maintain cleanliness. He asked for accounts, etc. Finally, there's a small part that is very important. Charles Freer Andrews, an old friend of Gandhi, a Britisher, a padre, he was present at that time in Champaran. And the lawyers wanted him to stay. But Gandhi said, you don't need to stay. You're going to Fiji, leave. Because we need to fight and win this battle on our own power, own might. And that is what happened. The Indians won the battle on their own might. The Champaran episode was a turning point in Gandhi's life, This is the first time that he had applied his idea of satyagraha and civil disobedience in India. Satyagraha, this term was originally satyagraha, which was coined in the Tolstoy farm in Phoenix by Gandhiji's nephews Chaganlal and Maganlal. And after many experimentations, trial and error methods, this was adopted. And what a force was it. What a force was it. It terrorized the Britishers at the same time. There was zero violence that was involved. So in a nutshell, in these 14 minutes almost, I told you the story of indigo. And I want you to just go through it again and again so that it's easier for you to understand. This is 14 minutes, a 14-minute capsule on the whole part of indigo. There is nothing beyond that. Thank you very much for listening to me.